What we have tonight in MLB DFS is a slate where you have the ability to deviate from the chalk if you want to, because there are no must-have situations in the slate. There are players I'd rank higher, personally. Like that, I definitely have preferences and ways I'd rank things, but I think it's a kind of an open slate where you can play things how you want, bet on some talent and try to identify ways you can deviate from the pack without being stupid. And I think that's a fun slate for sure for tournaments. Let's dive on in, talk about it, and get you set for tonight's slate. This is the FanDuel Live Q&A right here on the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter pages. My name is Jim Sanas. I am a senior writer and analyst for numberFire.com, here to take your questions for the next half an hour, getting you set for Wednesday's slate of MLB DFS. As always, no matter where you are watching, you can get your questions in YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, Twitter. Send them in right now. We'll take them live here on the air. Again, no matter where you're watching, send them in. We'll answer them live here on air. Tomorrow's schedule, we have a Thursday Night Football preview at 4 p.m. That'll be myself and Olivia Moody of Volume Sports. We'll be talking with her, getting her thoughts on some props. I'll be talking some single game DFS for Washington versus the Giants. That's at 4. MLB is at 4:30. On Friday, we have the Snake Draft with myself, Brandon Gadula, and JJ Zacharyson. That is 4 to 4:30, and of course, the MLB DFS be at 4:30 those days. So through the end of MLB season, MLB will be at 4:30 every day except for Wednesday. We're here at 4 to 4:30 on Wednesdays. Let's start the questions off on Facebook, talking to DJ. Hello, DJ, asking for thoughts on Joe Musgrove. Thinking he's a very good pitcher. Very good pitcher. Worry a bit about the matchup here because the Giants are a really good team. Now, they do strike out, DJ. And I think that gives you leeway to consider Musgrove because the talent is so good. It's not the best park for hitting either. So you have the flexibility to consider Musgrove for sure. I personally will not be ranking him as high as some other options just because I do really worry about that matchup. They're just such a good offense. That's my concern there. But because Musgrove is talented, we can still use him, and I'm okay with using him. But I do want to rank him below some other guys who I think have more clear paths to being standout type plays tonight. So not going to cross him off, DJ. I think that if you like him, you can go with him for sure. Just worried about the matchup. That's the main thing for me with Musgrove. Savon, favorite stacks for single entry for tonight. So again, you've got a lot of different ways you can play things for today. And I think that for single entry, we can look at some teams that may fly a bit under the radar. I want to see where Cleveland's implied total is because my hope is that Cleveland isn't going to be all that popular and we can go towards them because I really do like the matchup and the situation they've got for today. Cleveland's implied total down at 4.5. So I think, to me, Cleveland is a team that grades out pretty well because I wouldn't expect them to be all too popular. They've got a lot of power in that lineup. Tremendous matchup from a batted ball perspective. So I think that they are an awesome option. I think Cleveland is a standard option for single entry for today. Facing Griffin Jacks lets up a lot of fly balls, a lot of hard contact. So Savon, I think Cleveland is a really good stack from a single entry perspective for tonight. Savon is also asking for the best value hitter on Cleveland. I like Bobby Bradley a lot. I've not seen their lineup yet. Not sure if it's out yet. Let's refresh one more time here to see if it is. No lineup yet for Cleveland, but Bobby Bradley, I think he's awesome. I'm very interested in checking him out. Other potential value plays here, trying to think. The Astros guys, Jose Siri, we've got Chas McCormick, Jake Myers, all those guys could be good value plays. Was that a change? Okay. Gotta look up something here quick because it's possible the Royals switched their starters around when I wasn't looking. Okay, they did switch it to Carlos Hernandez. So I think the A's actually do work out pretty well too. I thought it was Mike Minor. I'd had Mike Minor down. He was announced earlier. I think they changed things around semi-recently. Anyway, yeah. So, well, I think that the A's are interesting as well. Best value hitter, though, I'm going to say it's Bobby Bradley. Probably number one for me, followed by the Astros guys. Savon, any under the radar teams today? Again, I think Cleveland's a good one there just because their implied totals not super high. I think that grades out. John is asking you, how would you stack Cleveland for today? So let's do that here. Let's put in Julio Urias at pitcher because he is my top guy. Again, I don't think he's like unfadable by any means because doesn't get a ton of strikeouts, sometimes has length issues. So he's not unfadable, but he is my top guy straight up. Let's go with Bradley. Let's get Jose Ramirez. And let's get Franmil in there and see where we're at. If we do those 3 guys, we're at 29.40 left. That means I probably need to go Bradley Zimmer over Miles Straw just because Bradley Zimmer saves me more salary than Straw. I think Straw is $2,900. So yeah, I think that this is probably the optimal 4-player stack if you're using a Rios. If you're going with, let's say, Huascar Inoue, then I'd probably get up to Straw just because it's less of a salary crunch there. So if you're going with the Rios, I think this is the 4-player stack. If you're going with Inoue or going with, any of the guys around 9,000, I would say then I'd go with Straw over Zimmer. Dan says Yankees have a really high total. No interest tonight? Yeah, interest. I think the interest is definitely there because John Means lets up a lot of fly balls. So that gives you the leeway to go there for sure. The reason I didn't talk about them this morning is that Means has been getting a little bit better, I guess I would say, a little bit being emphasized there, slowly trending back up after he came off the injured list. So I guess I don't know. It could be a situation where maybe it's just due to variance that has allowed him to improve a bit, but the strikeouts have been better recently than they were when he initially came off. So let's see here. 2.2653, but then recently it's 7.5555. So he's been getting better. Yankees faced him, which means they did just see him a couple starts ago, but didn't do a whole lot against him. Check out the batted ball data in that game. 31% hard hit rate for the Yankees in that game. Did have a couple barrels, but I think that it's just more of a middling type stack, Dan. So I think they're good, and I will definitely be checking them out for sure. But high salaries, probably going to be popular. I'm okay being a bit underweight just because Means has improved. Yankees always seem to be pretty popular. I think those are things that make me be okay, being a tiny bit lower on them. DJ is happy Roberto Clemente Day. Yes, they're letting, I believe, I think not almost anyone, but they're letting all the players wear number 21 tonight. That'd be pretty cool. I have a Roberto Clemente statue, like a little mini figurine statue in my closet because I have all my bobbleheads and stuff in there. Didn't take it out because I have this backdrop back here, but Roberto Clemente, one of the greatest baseball players / humans of all time. Johnny, Inoue or Suarez tonight, and who do you think will win the AL wildcards? Don't know on the wildcards there, Johnny, because I've been so wrapped up in DFS. I've not had time to focus on a lot of actual record stuff. So I'm looking forward to just watching it and taking that in. Haven't been doing a lot of divisional betting and stuff like that recently. But as far as DFS goes for today, I like Inoue a bit more because I think the matchup is sick, but I also feel better about his overall strikeout talent than Suarez. And I say strikeout talent specifically because Suarez has good talent. It's just a different talent than we look for in DFS. His talent is at batted ball suppression. You see here in his past 5 starts, some more changeups, just a 29% fly ball rate allowed, a 31% hard hit rate, really good numbers. The strikeouts have been there at times. So Suarez to me is definitely a consideration. I just put him behind Inoue because Inoue has a 26% strikeout rate since he returned, but he had a higher strikeout rate before he got hurt, so there's a possibility for improvement there. I think the 23% strike rate for Suarez is probably on the high end of his range, whereas Inoue at 26% is either his median or maybe even a tiny bit low. So I think that Inoue is a guy where I just want to kind of bet on the talent, bet on what we saw before the injury, like the matchup with Colorado too. So I like Inoue. I don't mind Suarez either, but I would say Inoue for me. Kyle, Gavin Sheets as a value one-off for tonight. Let's see what the lineup looks like here for the White Sox. See where Sheets is at. Sheets is batting 6th against Jason Junk. Yeah, I think that works for sure. Sheets is a guy who we used earlier on this year because he's got some power. Let's dig in as the sample is expanded here on Sheets to make sure that power has stuck. 320 ISO versus righties. Kyle, he is a double thumbs up, not just one thumb. We got 2 thumbs up for Gavin Sheets for today as a one-off on the White Sox. And the White Sox work for stacking too. So he's a one-off, but I would say you can also stack them. Jerry, my favorite stacks for today are the White Sox. I like Houston and a couple one-offs for St. Louis and the Mets. What are your thoughts on this? I like the Mets one-offs. I think that they're facing John Lester. Lester is a low strikeout guy, has some good batted ball data. So, I think that one-offs, I'll stack them as well, but one-offs definitely do work there. As far as the stacks, do like the White Sox. Again, facing Junk. The one reason the White Sox weren't as high for me is I think the Junk has the potential to suppress hard contact. That's kind of a guess there, so that could be wrong, but low strikeout rate, not a big fly or not a big ground ball guy, so definitely still like the White Sox. I love Houston facing Kohei Arihara. Arihara had some good results earlier on this year. Then the results started to regress, and they regressed towards his peripherals. So that to me says the peripherals were not off, and he struggled from a peripherals perspective since he came off the IL as well. So Houston, I think, is the number one stack for today against Arihara. I would say they're number one. I do like the White Sox, do like the Mets. For St. Louis, so it's complicated because, like, in theory, I can see using guys against McGill because McGill has really bad batted ball numbers, like a 47% hard hit rate allowed. This is over his past 6 starts, more fastballs, a 43% fly ball rate, but he also gets a lot of strikeouts, and he specifically is good versus righties. And the Cardinals have a bunch of righties. So, like, if you're facing the Rays, I'd probably stack the Rays because they got Lau, they got Meadows, guys like that. But the Cardinals are super righty heavy. Let's see if their lineup is out here yet. No lineup yet for the Cardinals. So I'm okay not being as high on them just because they're pretty righty heavy. I'd probably avoid them, but I don't mind. I do like Houston a lot, like the White Sox, and do like the Mets. Jerry says also like the Colorado and Atlanta game again. I'd be lower on the Colorado side because he knows is very good. Salvatore says pitching is awful. Yeah, I wouldn't go awful. I would say it's not as automatic as usual, Salvatore. That might be the way I'd phrase it, just because like there's no like top tier aces. So I'd agree with that. And I think that's why we have the leeway to deviate from Urias if you want. I'd expect Urias to be like the very popular for today. I think that would be the assumption for me. I know Savon asked about who the chalky starting pitcher will be. It'll be Urias for sure. I would not stack against him. That was what Savon is asking about. Should I stack them? I wouldn't because he's a very good pitcher because he's facing Arizona. But I would say for me, it's okay to deviate from there. Like Inoa's in play as a deviation. I think Minaya works just because he's super talented. Joe Musgrove is a consideration. We talked about him before. And then maybe McGill at pitcher. It does make me pretty nervous, though. Let's talk to Savon. Philadelphia stack. I don't hate that, Savon, because Alec Mills been slipping recently, lets up a lot of balls in play, letting up more hard contact recently than he did before. So specifically the lefties like Harper, Odubel Herrera, Brad Miller, is he in there? No Brad Miller. Yeah, that kind of stinks. Didi, it's like a 3-player stack of Didi, Harper, Herrera, and then I wouldn't mind Galvis either. But like they're not a top tier stack for me, but I think they're in play. Savon also asked about a San Francisco stack. No, Musgrove is very good. Savon asking, how would you stack Oakland? So facing Hernandez means we can go with pretty much anyone here, I would say. So I think Oakland is kind of just a freeing lineup where you just pick the best dudes. Pick the best dudes on this team and stack them. No lineup out yet, so let's check out the projected lineup here for the A's for today. Scrolling down here. This projected lineup may still be based on the lefty because it was initially going to be a lefty, but they did change things up later. Yeah, so Lowry's not in there. I assume that's because they thought it'd be a lefty. Davis won't play. Pinder probably won't play either. So flip that around. The projected lineup's probably off is the way I'd phrase that. So Olsen is kind of the key guy you want to get in there if you're stacking the A's because just a crazy power versus righties and lefties. They tend to skew towards Murphy over Gomes versus righties. So I'm kind of curious to see if Murphy gets to start today because they made the change, but I also don't know if they'd want to change up catchers late in the game, given that, it could throw off Manaya's stuff. So if it's Gomes in there, I'm not as high. He's not super great versus righties. If Chapman gets back in there, I'd love to feel good about him too. So kind of want to see what the lineup looks like here because, again, we don't really know if Seth Brown plays again. Like, whoopsies. If Seth Brown plays, lock him in. Definitely good salary saver, but wouldn't assume he plays. He's not a fixture in the lineup for sure. DJ, does Colton Welker have any value for Colorado at third base? No. I mean, I just don't want to use any Rockies guys. Enoa's good, so I'll pass on the Rockies. Mr. Monte on YouTube, Robert or Jimenez? Can I say yes? Is that cheating to say yes? Because they're both pretty good. Actually looks like, yeah. So I mean, Robert's pretty hard to fade given how well he's been playing recently, but I still like Jimenez a lot. Let's just check it out here. Let's see. Straight up, Robert has a 171 ISO versus righties with 5 stolen bases. Jimenez, 236. I'm going to go with Jimenez. I know Robert's been much better recently, but it's pretty tight. So I'll go with Jimenez there and just pray that Robert doesn't continue to just go nuclear. But if you can get both, I'd prefer that for sure. Savon asking for Cortez or Suarez. Not a lot of interest in Cortez personally. Let's have a lot of fly balls. So like they both got similar strikeout rates because they're right here on the same page. So you can see them both there. I like the matchup more for Suarez over Cortez. So I would say Suarez there by a pretty healthy amount. Rob says, I don't think Colorado and Atlanta will play nonstop rain. Yeah, let's pull up that over here. It's looking pretty gross looking at that. It does say light rain. That's a good thing, Rob, but I don't know. I think that's probably a correct inclination. I always, again, defer to Kevin Roth of Roto Grinders. He tends to have a pretty good read on these types of things. I don't, but this does throw that into concern. Especially because, like, for pitchers, we have to care more about rain because it's a long rain delay. They get yanked and don't come back. So definitely check back at what Kevin has to say on Roto Grinders about this forecast here because it does look pretty concerning. Savon, who do you think will be the chalky pitcher for today? Again, talked about that in passing before. I think it'd be Urias. Actually, I know it'll be Urias because the implied total is so low and the matchup's so good. I would not stack against him. He's too good for that. Dan, Jim, would you have to put Oakland in the top 3 now over the Mets? Yes, I think so. Because a couple reasons. We do have the issue where Lester does a pretty good job of suppressing hard contact. Hernandez really doesn't do that. So I think that we had the leeway to go there. The one thing that could push you towards the Mets is that the weather is great for hitting today. More humid there today, winds blowing out. So that could push you towards the Mets. But I would expect the A's to be a bit less popular because there was a pitching change, maybe not as much analysis around them for today. So I would say the A's over the Mets by a hair, Dan, under the consideration of better offense, maybe less popular. That'd be the play. But I think they're both still good. But I do think that Oakland might be in the top 3 now. Good question. DJ, does Nestor Cortes have any value tonight? Not really. Not really in there. I think that there are enough guys I like more than him to lop him off. DJ's asking me Jose Urquidy. I would avoid that pretty steadfastly because he's gone to 71 and 70 pitches since he came back. And the movement on his pitches has been bad, like really bad relative to what it was before his injury. So worried about him not being back to full strength. Pitch count's not there yet. So Urquidy to me, pretty easy avoid based on what he's looked like those first 2 starts and specifically what the pitch count has been like. Salvatore, where we're ranking the Yankees. So let's see here. Let's go through rankings here. Okay. So we have Astros 1, Cleveland 2. We're going to shift the A's up. We like the White Sox. We like the Mets. I feel like the Yankees might slot in after that. That might be the optimal place to put them. Yeah, I don't see anyone else to put above them. So Yankees would be after the Astros, Cleveland, the A's, the Mets, and the White Sox. So I guess 6th, if I count it right, be the ranking there. John, who would stack Cleveland with? So let's check out the positional stuff here on Cleveland to see if there are any teams that might be kind of restrictive with them. Oopsies, still in the A's. So let's go with Bobby Bradley. Let's go with Jose Ramirez. Let's go with Frommeal. And let's get Zimmer in there. Okay, if we do that, we are at 30-75 left. The second base, shortstop, outfield, utility. It depends on which of the A's we get, because I think that could work pretty well. Like if we get Jose Siri at minimum salary again, that gives you flexibility to maybe get Altuve or Correa in there. Altuve is $4,300. Correa is, I think, lower. So you get Correa in there, get Kyle Tucker or Yordan Alvarez in there. So I think the Astros work really well with Cleveland based on the way those two teams mesh together positionally and from a salary perspective. Kyle says he needs a one-off at shortstop with $3,300 left to go. So let's scroll down here to $3,300 at shortstop. Segura, not a guy I tend to use versus righties, especially with Mills being more restrictive versus righties. Glaber just hasn't had power. Let's check out the game logs here. Had that dinger a couple nights ago, but like overall, just no power at all for Glaber this year. Dansby is in that weather game facing Sanatella. Not a bad pitcher. I could get behind Ahmed Rosario potentially as part of a Cleveland stack, but I'm not going to rank him as high within that stack because I prefer Straw over him, prefer Zimmer over him for the savings. So not super high there. Jonathan VR could work, bat and leadoff against Leicester. So I would say probably Rosario, probably VR, going to be the top two guys there in terms of a one-off shortstop. Wouldn't mind Didi either. $2,500. So you could, change things around elsewhere if you wanted to with the salary savings there. But I would say Didi's in play, VR's in play, and Rosario is in play. Neely 8ever over on Twitch. Home run specials for today. Harper, Rays, anyone else take a flyer on? Love Harper. Love Fromneal. I think Jose Ramirez, if you're looking like actual like betting odds for Cleveland, I think that the number for Jose Ramirez is very enticing. I think he's plus 290 at FanDuel Sportsbook. I think that's a pretty good number for him. I'm not sure if you're asking for betting stuff, but like based on the odds, I think that Jose Ramirez, a really good bet for today to go deep for Cleveland. But the betting odds also illustrate why Bobby Bradley is super under salary. I think he's plus 280, like a little bit shorter than Ramirez, and he is $2,500. That's a really good price for a guy who is the betting number is a good price for him for a guy who is $2,500 on FanDuel. So I would say the Cleveland guys are pretty good to check out there. Other potential dinger threats, I do think that the Yankees individually have some good guys who could go deep, like Stanton, Judge. Obviously, you can feel good about those guys going deep against the lefty who lets up a lot of fly balls. Let's see here if the Yankees lineup is out yet. Nope, no Yankees lineup yet. Oh, well. Other good dinger hitting situations for today. I could see taking some stabs at some Orioles against Cortez, given the fly balls he allows. And then Yordan Alvarez. Let's go with Yordan Alvarez too. And Jose Siri if he plays. We'll go with that. Savon, what stack pairs well with Minnesota? I'm not really looking to stack the Twins because Cal Quantrill does a really good job of suppressing. Oh, sorry, you meant to say with Cleveland. My bad, Savon. Missed that. Joy was trying to show me that, and I totally glossed over it. So good job, Joy. I missed it. With Cleveland, again, I think that Houston is the one that goes well there because of the way they mesh up positionally. Also, though, the Mets do because, like, you could go, if we had second base, shortstop open, that's the Baez, Lindor situation. So the Mets do mesh well with them as well. The Mets, Cleveland mesh well. Not as much Oakland because I don't really want to use a lot of infielders there. So maybe if you go with Rosario as your fourth Cleveland guy, that can mesh better. But the White Sox or the A's and Cleveland don't mesh as well. So I would say Astros and Mets are the two ones that go the best together. Salvatore says Royals hit well versus lefties. They don't strike out, but they don't hit well. They have a 148 ISO versus lefties, 34% fly ball rate, super low walk rate. So like they don't hit the ball well. They got two guys who hit the ball well, Salvador Perez and Alberto Mondesi, but overall not a team I really fear. It's more so I don't really want to target pitchers against them because the strikeout rate's so low. Just a pretty thin slate. And I think that allows you to use Minaya under the assumption that he's talented. I think he's talented. He's risky for sure, but I can bet on talent sometimes. Jerry says, give me your two value guys under $2,500. Can I cheat and say $2,500 or lower, Jerry? I'm going to cheat. Say Bobby Bradley at exactly $2,500, a guy I do like quite a bit. If we get Brown in there, I would say he'd be a guy. Let's see what Sheets' salary is too. Our boy Gavin is $2,100. There you go, Jerry. I would say he's up there for sure as well. And Bradley Zimmer, I think, is $2,400. I could put him in that consideration too. So we'll say Bradley Zimmer, Bobby Bradley if I can cheat. Kevin Pillar is batting sixth. Really good numbers versus lefties. So I would say Pillar up there as well. I think he's 21 or 24, somewhere in there. Jerry says, I like Tyler McGill tonight. Good matchup, and he should be everyone's favorite value pitcher. I think that I agree with you, Jerry. I worry about the hard contact. That's the one thing that makes me hesitate about going all in because the strikeouts are there. Matchup is great, very righty heavy, but he does allow a lot of hard contacts. That can lead to destruction. So Upside is there, Jerry. I do like that. Just worry about the batted balls. So I think if I had to guess, I've not built stuff yet, but I would guess I'll probably get to McGill. But if I don't, it will be strictly because I am worried about the batted ball profile he allows. All right, let's get DJ's home run calls. He's got Nick Solak, Alberto Mondesi, Patrick Wisdom, Josh Harrison, Pete Alonso, Javier Baez. I love Alonso, love Baez, very in there. Mondesi's facing Manaea, who lets up a lot of hard contact, so I think that one works as well. Salvatore asking for thoughts on Byron Buxton. My thoughts are that he is the best baseball player of all time. I was wearing my Byron Buxton jersey yesterday. It's the Players Weekend jersey, so it just says Buck on the back, so only the cool people know who the player is. Best baseball player of all time, probably not using him tonight because Quantrill does a good job of suppressing our contact. Aaron Campbell asking about the White Sox. Yes, Aaron, I think that they are a very good option for today. Specifically on sheets, $26 or $2,100 for someone who, with his power versus a righty, definitely on board there. Check out the rest of the White Sox lineup. Okay, so Yasmani's salary's gone up, but I still think that he's a good play. Let's go over here and check out some salaries for the Sox. Let's put Sheets in there first, just because I want him in there. Okay. I did say I wanted Jimenez over Roberts, so I feel like I should just stick with that. Let's do it. Although Roberts' salary is actually not that bad, so let's just do both. Why not? Porque no los dos. Porque no los dos. And then let's do I do Grandal or Abreu? That's a really tough one, and I don't like having to decide. Okay, Grandal 276, Abreu 202. We're going with Yas Money in there for tonight. So I think this is a good one for the White Sox here. I just want all the power. Give me all that pop. Jerry's Dinger calls. He wants Matt Olson, Kyle Tucker, Bryce Harper, Luis Roberts. I love all those. Matt Olson's amazing. So I think those are great. I think that we are good to go. Final one here from Jerry. St. Louis ran out of gas last night. Very frustrating with the way that one played out. So I get it, Jerry. It was annoying for sure. So we'll see what they do tonight. Again, I think that McGill is in play. It makes me nervous, but I do think that it's worthwhile. And again, it's a high variance slate. There aren't any super safe pitchers outside of Urias for tonight. So I think it works. I think it does work for sure. We'll see what he can do. The strikeout should be there. Hopefully he keeps the ball in the yard. That is all that we have here for today. But again, quick scheduling announcement for tomorrow. We have the Thursday Night Football preview 4 to 4:30. That is right here on the FanDuel YouTube, Twitch, Facebook, and Twitter pages. I'll be here talking with Olivia Moody, Liv Moods, about her thoughts on that game from a props perspective. I'll talk some single game DFS. Antonio Gibson at MVP. Anybody? Let's do that. That'll be at 4 to 4:30. MLB Q&A is at 4:30 to 5 for tomorrow. So swing by tomorrow and check out both NFL and baseball. If you've got more questions for me, I am on Twitter at Jim Sannes, JimSannes. Big thank you to Joy Affleck, our video producer, for running the video side of things here today. Thank you, Joy, as always. And thank you to everyone for tuning in for today. Good luck to you tonight. We'll talk to you once again tomorrow. Talk some football and more baseball. This has been the FanDuel Live Q&A.